Okay, great. How about let's move on to the last part of today.
Yes.
That will be chapter 4. And this chapter will be very fast, very quick. OpenStack configuration. All right, just like its name, we are going to configure. Finally, we know we can configure the OpenStack, right? So in this chapter, we are going to cover how to use the OpenStack. At the very beginning, we are going to cover a little bit about the API, but I'm not going to spend much time over there because the API is just a bunch of commands and just put into the API, and you can do whatever you want. But the whole task we covered in the API can also be covered by using the GUI. So we will quickly move on to the next part to use the OpenStack heap orchestration template and then configure the OpenStack using Horizon, Web UI, and heap. So again, Horizon is the project, is the Web UI. OpenStack interface options. You have several different ways to configure the OpenStack. One, by using the REST API, REST API. REST is a standard. So, for example, you can use whatever software you want. You can configure the parameter and sending through the REST. And then, secondly, you just go into the Linux console of the OpenStack, put a command, just like the previous lab you just did. And then, the third one is using Horizon Web UI. So you use the GUI to click this, click that to finish all your job. And next one is Python SDK. If you know how to programming by using Python, then you can write the coding, write the software by coding the Python and send all the parameter to your device. Now, the next one, the last one, heap orchestration template. Remember when we talk about the project, one of the project is called heap. Can anyone tell me what is the purpose of the heap? Yes, it's your contact window for all the other API. You just facing to the heap, put all the parameters, right? But since you in previously, if you using the REST API or using the Python, you will talk to Horizon. You will have to talk to this. You will have to talk to that, and you have to provide parameter. But now, since you are going to use the heap is your single window. All the parameters can be put into the heap in a single command. And think about it. Because you are sending all the parameters, the command will be very long. It's prompt to typo. So in order to minimize the typo, you can put the parameter in a file. And then sending the file to the heap command. Then it will combine everything and send it to the OpenStack projects. All right? So that we call it template. So REST API, REST API is very usual. The REST API is an interface that allowing you to put a command. However, the command will be transmitted to your device by using HTTP or HTTPS. The command is simple because the command allowing you to create, read, update, or delete. So there are only 4 actions for you. So in that case, we call the command always starting with CURL. CURL stands for create, read, update, and delete it out. Okay, so the command it represents that you can do one of the 4 tasks. However, what kind of the command, what kind of parameter can be put behind the CURL? So there's a reference book. You can go to the developer OpenStack org. There is a forum, so you can learn all the commands from there. And here is an example. You can put a JSON. So you can put all the command in a JSON file. Unless you know how to configure JSON, but this is easy. When you're doing the configuration to programming a language, at the very beginning, you normally will start it with to define what is the object. For example, oh, I want to use a name to represent a number. I want to use another name to represent a string. I want to use this name to represent an arrow, something like that. So we need to define it in here. That is the JSON type. A host name, oh, that is a string. So the string is MXA1. Or location, that can be used to define several things, including one of the parameter is a number. So you need to define the object first, and then you can use the object. Okay, and then let's talk about the Keystone API. If you go to the Keystone, you can use the CURL. Remember, we can use the CURL. Now, following with the parameter, here is the parameter. And sending the parameter to here. This is the API. API is actually a URL link. You send your parameter to that link, and that link will receive your parameter and compile your parameter into a lower layer commands. So where is the link? The API is in here. For example, if you follow with the IP address with the subdirectory 2.0 token, then you are going to use the authentication and generate the token. If you're following with the tenant, then you are going to list the tenant. If you're using user, then you are going to add a user, something like this. So for example, here, we're following with 2.0 tokens. So which means we are in here, right? Now in here, what would you do? You are going to use the authentication to do the authentication. So in order to do the authentication, you need to send your username password to the device. So when you're sending something out, we call it, the action is host. If you want to retrieve something, that will be get. So in order to identify which action you want to take, in the very beginning, let's move on to here. In the very beginning in here, you need to specify the method, okay? By default, if you didn't specify any method in here, by default will be get. As long as you want to use any other action other than get, you have to specify. So here, we specify we want to post. We want to post something, all right. We want to post something to the URL in here, which is the API, and do the authentication. So which means I need to provide the username password. So how? Following with that, you need to provide the username. Okay? Sorry, the username admin, the password in here. So all this format will have to go through the web form to look at the API format.
So any person can talk to the API and put commands without authentication? Or
has to be authentication first, and then do anything else. So this will be the first step.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So after you're doing this, you will get.
I thought because they're talking about authentication, so they're talking about the what's called the line for authentication, the turtle, what's it called? Keystone.
Yeah.
So are they talking to the keystone here?
Yes, this is actually talking to the keystone.
Okay.
So you're sending the CURL and to this URL. This URL is the API to keystone. So
you have to be authenticated before you talk to the API, or
you have to authenticate through the API and then get a token. Then you use the token to do anything else.
So just wondering, there are two types of authentication here I'm talking about. Are you a user?
Mm-hmm.
Are you a customer?
Right now,
customer authentication, or are you an admin?
I am an admin.
So you talk about admin authentication to OpenStack.
Yes.
Not necessarily to be a customer.
No, not necessary. Yeah. Right now, we are showing you from administrator point of view how to do it.
Not from the customer.
Yeah, not from the customers. Right. So this is the configuration you need to configure. So we move on to the next part. if you configure the previous line like this, then it will give you an output. Now, here is the output. The output, if you look at the output, can you see that there is a token, right? And it will give you, the token will be expired and when. And the token ID is this. All right, now you got the token. Then what? After the authentication, you probably say, oh, I need to create something. Create a virtual machine, create a tenant, create something. So any other things you need to create, you need to copy paste this token into your command and send it to the API. So the API will verify the token in order to make sure they can receive that commands. So you see, in the next command, let me clear up this. In the next command, I'm still using the CORL. And then I go to the URL in here following with this. Okay, so let's go back. And go to this URL, which means another API. This is to list the tenant. Okay, I would like to know how many customers I have, but I need to specify the method. Remember that I just mentioned, if you didn't specify the method, what's the default method? Get. So if you go here, did you see any method in here? No. So by default it's get. But if you want to get something, you need to prove you have already authenticated. So you need to copy paste the token to here. So you say, hey, this is my tickets, this is my token. Okay? If you verify the token, let me do this. Show all the tenant. And then it will give you all the tenant output in here. All right, now you see, there's a tenant with an ID of this. This is the tenant ID. Now, if you would like to know what's the detailed information of the tenant, then in the next command, you will need to copy paste the tenant ID and use the CORL to send to another API again. So that's how it works, okay? All right, so I'm not going to move on. I'm not going to go deep to the commands in here. They're all the same, just different API. Right now, since so many API is too cumbersome, so how about I have a contact window that is hit. Okay, if I use hit, that is easier for me to push the commands. So let's use the hit template. So what is a hit? Hit is part of the OpenStack orchestration program. Actually, it's a project. The project will allowing you to put all the parameters to the hit. You don't have to CORL again and again and again. You do everything all together by providing all the parameters. But since you have so many parameters, you are not able to put all the parameters in a single command. So you can define a template. The template will follow with a format. The format is a standard. We call it YAML, YAML file. Right? So first of all, I define YAML. Okay, the YAML file has to be the extension name of YAML, and then you specify the object in here. So which name, which name represent which one. So all these are your parameters, and then you define another file. We call it hot. So hot, HOT is actually heat, which means you want to put the command in here. Oh, here's my command. My command is I want to specify the resource, and I want to use the resource called heat VM1, and that is going to call an API in here. And then here is the parameter. All right, and then you can use the openstack and then create something, and then following with this file. You see, the file will be put in here. And then the file will use this parameter to create a stack. or a tenant. We called it my stack. All right, so just following that, you will finish the creation. So let me skip that. Now let's move on to more interesting part. OpenStack configuration by using GUI. Now I'm going to slow down. Now, please tell me which project I'm accessing. Which project I'm accessing to? I'm currently accessing to which project?
Tenant.
Okay, it's a trick question. When you see a GUI from OpenStack, which project you are talking to?
Choose kind of project. I didn't use login, but it says the project's demo.
No, it's a trick question. You are using GUI. This is the OpenStack GUI. Which project responsible for the GUI?
No.
Okay?
No.
No. Horizon. Horizon.
Ah.
Okay? You see, this is a trick question. Okay? Which object which project you are accessing? You are accessing the horizon. Okay, now here is the horizon. And first of all, you want to create a project that is under a hierarchy in the identity. So when we go to the OpenStack, we create a project, which means you are not creating another service. You are creating a tenant. Okay, a group of resource will be put in the same place. So which means project is tenant. Okay, as an administrator, you need to create tenants. If you have hundreds of the tenant, you have to create hundreds of projects in here. So first of all, by default, there is a project. The project is called demo. If you would like to create some other project, you go to identity project. And then in here, you will see there is an icon allowing you to create projects. So you click it. Or you can manage the existing project by clicking the manage member. So who is the administrator for this project? All right, you just asked me the question. I'm from whose point of view you manage this, right? Now I'm the administrator. If I'm the administrator, I create a new project, for example, like this. I just create a project like this. And I'm going to allow, oh, this project is for Telstra. No, let's use another. For D-Link, D-Link is your customer. I said D-Link. Now I'm going to create a user account for the D-Link user to use that project. Then I'm going to go to the D-Link and add the memory here. So I am the administrator. I can create tenants for the customer. Right? And then once you click the create project, it will bring you to here, create a project. And then, okay, you can say, for this project, who will be the member? Then you can create a member from here. And then you can create a project for quota. So what is quota? All right. I said, hey, I have a customer. The customer pay me, for example, $10,000 per month. Okay. So I'm going to allow this tenant to use how much of my resource. So I put that in here. For this tenant or this project, I'm going to define the quota. So how many vCPU can be used? How many interfaces can be used? I'm talking about logical interface. How many something over there? How many bytes can be used? So I can say, oh, D-Link, you pay me $10,000 per month. So here is your resource. Okay, the maximum of resource you can use is here. And then you need to create a user for that D-Link user, D-Link tenants. So you can go to identity under the identity layer is a user, and then you create a user overlay. Then in here, in the create user window, you just provide all the necessary information, including the password, include which project this user can manage, and what is the role, which means the privilege of the user. And everything can also be configured by using the hit. So whenever you're doing that by using the GUI, you can also use the hit to achieve the same goal. Okay. Now, I just create the first task is a project. A project is a tenant. And I also assign a user for that tenants. Now, what's the next? The next one is, I know D-Link is going to spin up the virtual machine. Or he's going to use the VSRX. So I can upload the image to the storage first. Then after that they can use the image, right? So now I'm going to upload the image. So I'm going to come to the project. Or I just create a project, for example, D-Link. And under the project, I need to go to the image. And then I create image. Create image, which means upload image. And then you can upload the image from your laptop or your system to the storage of the OpenStack. Okay, who in charge of the image storage? Lens. Okay, so if you put the image in here, it will internally in charge by the Lens. So I say, okay, I can upload the file. So what's the file name? You can browse. And what is the format? And what is the resource will be allocated for this image? Now, let's take a look. Please try to take a look. Try to remember how many format over there we can support ISO, OVA for VMware, right? And something you probably don't know, PLOOP, I don't know that either. QCOW2 is a QEMU format. It's a very standard and popular format. Raw data, VDI, VHD, VMDM, and AKI, AMI, ARI. All these image formats started with AR, the format of Amazon. So just have an image, because sometimes the exam question will ask, what kind of format can be supported by OpenStack? That is really important. And then, okay, now, first, next summary. You just created a tenant, which is project. You assign the user to that tenant. Now you upload the image. Now, in the future, if the customer wants to use the image to spin up the virtual machine to the compute node, now you have to tell when the image is sending to the compute node, how much resource will be allocated. I'm talking about how much CPU, how much memory, how much disk drive, right? So in that case, you will have to configure something we call it flavor. Flavor is how much resource. So once the D-Link want to spin up the virtual machine, the image and the flavor, which is how much resource, will be sending to the compute node. Compute node will based on the flavor and spin up the virtual machine. So you need to create a flavor. We go to the main system flavor, and then we create a flavor from here.
Can you control format you want to be the image on? Let's say, for example, I'm building a Windows image, but I want to be FAT32 or NTFS. Can you control that for me?
Oh, you're talking about the images hard drives format.
Yes.
That will come with the image, not in here.
That will come with the image.
Yes, that comes with, it's already packaged
The
in the
image
image.
is just a Windows DVD on ISO format. This is the image. It doesn't asks you what media you want to install on.
Let me show you. Maybe I can show you here. Open the browser. Yes. Go to Juniper. And we go to support and full download. And then I select by series and I go to SRX. And I would like to download the VSRX image. Okay, now this is the image, right? If you can see that we have VSRX VMware appliance with IDE OVA. So it's already there, IDE. SCSI. Okay, so that is packaged in the image.
So that doesn't tell you that 30 is more than first.
You have to do it by yourself.
Yeah, where?
By billing, by customer, not by administrator. Administrator just give you the image, give you how many disks, and then you can decide what's the format of the disk.
Now I'm dealing.
Yes.
I'm asking you as a service provider to spin a virtual machine
Right.
running Windows on
Yes.
Back 32. How
Yes.
can you do that?
We need to prepare that image in advance.
But the image is just an installation disk for Windows. The image is just an installation disk for Windows. Doesn't specify what fat on the hard disk on virtual hard disk.
Yeah,
Doesn't
I
specify
know
that.
that's how it works. If you go to the Amazon, if you want to purchase the Windows image, okay, you say, okay, I want to pay and I want to install Windows 2018. There are several images, one image for FAT32, one image for FAT something, one image for some format. You have to select. They already prepared.
So you want to have it.
Okay.
Yes, that's how it works. Because we prepare that image and you select one.
Yeah. All right.
And then you can manage the flavor. Okay, if you go to the flavor, you can say, oh, for the image compare with by using this flavor, that image will need to be assigned with 2 virtual CPU, 2 gigabytes of RAM. How many gigabytes of the disk in the root? Okay. All right. Let me pause in here. Please tell me what I have done from the start point to now. I just create tenant, user for the tenant, and then I upload the image, and then I create a flavor, right? I just prepare everything for the customer. Now, I would like to say, hey, if the customer wants to come to me to use that image to spin up the virtual machine, the virtual machine will have to be connected to a network. The network I'm talking about is the tunnel. But tunnel, in the previous chapter we talked about, tunnel is actually called virtual network. So now we need to create a virtual network.
Yes.
So we create a virtual network. But in the virtual network, it's a tunnel. Inside of the tunnel, you need to assign what is the IP address. Oh, 10.1.1.0/24. What is the DNS server? Okay, something like that. So let's say if I have a computer node, this will connect it to a virtual router. And you know what? By default, the virtual router itself will be the DHCP server of this network. So in the future, if you spin up a virtual machine without assigning any of the static IP address, the virtual machine, when it is put up, it will automatically talk to the DHCP server and get an IP address. And in this case, that IP address will be one of the IP in the 10.1.1.0. So this information needs to be assigned by IPAM. IPAM including the network and the DNS and NTP, something like that. So IPM stands for IP Address Management. Right? We go to the project, make sure we are creating for demo this standard. And then we go to other, there is the networking. And then we create a new network. The next one is, what's the network name? Oh, I would like to call it Virtual Network C. And you can click subnet. Oh, what is the subnet of this network? 10.something.0024. And then, what's the detail? Do you want to enable the vRouter as the DHCP? Subnet detail in here. By default, DHCP is enabled. So again, who is playing the role of DHCP?
Virtual route.
Virtual router. And you can also specify the DNS server. So who is going to play the DNS server?
Virtual router.
Virtual router. By default. Right? Now, let me summarize that again. Don't forget. First, I create the tenant. Second, I create the user of the tenant. Third, I upload the image. And then I create flavor, right? And now I just create a virtual network. The virtual network, when you create, you need to specify the IPAM. In the IPAM, you say who will be the DHCP server by default, virtual router. Who will be the DNS server by default, virtual router. Okay, so any virtual machine in the future, if you spin up, they will get the IP address from the virtual router. They will get the DNS from the virtual router. So now it's the perfect time for us to create a virtual machine. Now we can create a virtual machine, but when we create a virtual machine, there is a term. We call it instance. Instance. So what is the instance? You want to create a virtual machine for one service, for example, Windows service. Sometimes we always talk about scale out, right? How about I create two exactly the same virtual machine providing the same service? Then the virtual router can probably do some load balancing. So you create all these at one time. We call it an instance. So by default, one instance normally will be one virtual machine, but sometimes it can be multiple virtual machines at one time. So we call it one instance. So we go to project. Make sure that you are for this customer in their compute hierarchy, which is in here, and in the instance, which is in here. And then you click launch instance. Then the next one is, right, you want to spin up the virtual machine. So please tell me what is the instance name, which means the virtual machine name. And how many virtual machines you want to create? Do you see that? Count. So one instance probably two virtual machines, or three, or four. Okay? And then, in order to spin up the virtual machine, how many resources you need to allocate to this virtual machine? Now you have to find the flavor you just created. Okay, so you select the flavor. You select the flavor from, sorry, from where? Oh, next page, I'm sorry. In this page, I said this image has a name, how many virtual machines will be created? And then here, first, where is the storage? Because we just upload the image to a storage. Now we want to specify the storage name. And then, next page, you need to go to the flavor. Select one of the flavor from the list in here, and the flavor will tell the compute node how many resources to allocate. And then, finally, after the image spin up, this image, this virtual machine need to be connected to which virtual network? So we select the network. And then you can, from here, to select one of the network you just created. Okay, after that, the virtual machine will come up and running. If that is the Windows, Now you will be able to go to the console of the window. In order to get to the console, the console of the window, there's a trick. You need to mouse over to here. There is a bar. You click here first, and then you get to the console to type in the command. For example, Windows. Alright, now I just create an image. That is the Windows. But the next time I would like to use that image as a template to clone the other image. So what would you do? Yeah, create a snapshot. So you can create a snapshot. Okay, here's a function allowing you to go to the image you just create. And in here, there's a drop-down menu allowing you to create a snapshot. All right, that's it. That's how it works. So now, this is a mini test. Please tell me, what's the step? First,
Where's the big stand?
not yet. Not yet. The rest of the chapter will talk about that. Yeah. So first of all, we create what? Project or tenant. Second, a user assigned to the tenant. And then
You create
and then we upload
download
the
the image.
image.
Yes.
Yes. And then we create a flavor. All right. And then we create a virtual network. And then we spin up the instance. Inside of the instance, you need to bind everything together, including where is the storage, what is the image name, what is the flavor, what is the virtual network. So then create, and then it will up and running. Then you click the bar, you can get to the console. You can do the test. Yes, yes, snapshot. I forgot about it. Thank you.
We do that now?
Yep. Can you do that? Yep. So please move on to the lab. Now, after you finish up the lab, that will be the end of the day.
Oh, good.
Thank you.
We do this in that login, don't we? Not because here it just says go to openstack.
Yes, not from your laptop.
But in the act, yeah.
Yeah, you have to remote access to the
That's
desktop.
one expired.
Yeah.
That is bad.
So this is lab 2?
Lab 2, yes.
Okay.
Right, yeah, please move on to the lab. If you're